Alyssa Milano allegedly had Shannen Doherty fired from Charmed and more explosive TV show Feuds. Cast members from Sex and the City, 24, and Grey's Anatomy have also been involved in Feuds. Charmed was a beloved series when it began airing in 1998, but for the cast, it seems like working on the show may have been more of a curse. Shannen Doherty, Alyssa Milano and Holly Marie Combs were the original stars of the show, but Doherty was written off at the end of the third season. Now, Combs is claiming that Milano was the reason why Doherty was let go. On Doherty's podcast, Let's Be Clear, Combs said that after her co-star was fired, she called a meeting with a producer to figure out why. She claimed, he said, "We didn't mean to, but we've been backed into this corner. We're basically in this position where it's one or the other. We were told, by Alyssa, it's her or Shannen, and Alyssa has threatened to sue us for a hostile workplace environment." Combs recalled that she responded by saying, "This is not a show I wanted to do without Shannen. She didn't want to do it without me. Therefore, I don't want to do it without her, and that should be fairly clear." Doherty said she couldn't remember what might have made Milano take issue with her, and while Milano hasn't addressed these recent claims, she did say in a 2021 interview with Entertainment Tonight, "You know, I could take responsibility for a lot of our tension that we had. I think a lot of our struggle came from feeling that I was in competition rather than it being that sisterhood that the show was so much about. And I have some guilt about my part in that." A rep for Milano did not respond to SSN 24 News Digital's request for comment. Starring Sarah Jessica Parker, Kim Cattrall, Cynthia Nixon and Kristen Davis, Sex and the City was a show largely about the friendships between four characters, but in real life, some of the cast members weren't so close. There were rumors that salary disputes were going on behind the scenes, and in a 2004 appearance on Friday Night with Jonathan Ross, Cattrall explained, "I felt after 6 years it was time for all of us to participate in the financial windfall of Sex and the City. When they didn't seem keen on that, I thought it was time to move on." Parker had taken on a producer role midway through the series, making her payday significantly bigger than those of her co-stars. Still, Nixon and Davis have always remained friendly with her, while Cattrall has spoken out against her several times. In 2017, she told Piers Morgan that the relationship between her and her former co-stars felt toxic, and about Parker specifically, she said, "I think she could have been nicer. I really think she could have been nicer. I don't know what her issue is." Cattrall's brother died in 2018, and Parker apparently reached out to her, which inspired an Instagram post from Cattrall that read in part, "Your continuous reaching out is a painful reminder of how cruel you really were then and now. Let me make this very clear. If I haven't already, you are not my family. You are not my friend. So I'm writing to tell you one last time to stop exploiting our tragedy in order to restore your nice girl persona." When the Sex and the City revival series, and Just Like That, began airing in 2021, the main cast returned full-time, except for Cattrall. Parker explained her absence to The Hollywood Reporter, saying, "We did not ask her to be part of this because she made it clear that that wasn't something she wanted to pursue, and it no longer felt comfortable for us, and so it didn't occur to us." For her part, Parker has never publicly involved herself in the feud beyond calling it heartbreaking and painful. Glee featured a long list of talented actors to handle all the singing and dancing the show required, but the star was always Lea Michele. The show ended in 2015, but in 2020, after Michele made a social media post with a Black Lives Matter hashtag, a former co-star, a black actress named Samantha Ware, tweeted, "Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? 'Cause I'll never forget. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity you would, in my wig." Amongst other traumatic microaggressions that made me question a career in Hollywood. Michele stated that she didn't recall this particular exchange and said she'd never been racist, but she apologized for her behavior anyway. Despite that, former co-stars continued to speak out. Heather Morris wrote a message on X, formerly Twitter, saying in part, "Was she unpleasant to work with? Very much so. For Lea to treat others with the disrespect that she did for as long as she did, I believe she should be called out." Dabier Snell, who appeared on an episode, tweeted, "Girl, you wouldn't let me sit at the table with the other cast members cause I didn't belong there, fulea." In an interview on radio show Access All Areas, Matthew Morrison, another star, initially declined to comment by saying, "I honestly think it's a distraction of the bigger issues that are going on right now. It's kind of like, But he did add, "You want to be a good, pleasant person to be around. That's about all I'm going to say on that. Yet another regular, Chris Colfer, was asked on a SiriusXM show last year if he'd be going to see Michelle during her run in Funny Girl on Broadway, and he answered, "No, I can be triggered at home." Will Smith was only 21 when he landed his own show with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it seems like his early success may have bothered one of the veteran actors in the cast. After the third season, Janet Hubert, who played Smith's Aunt Vivian, left the show. She was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, and Smith told an Atlanta radio station, per E! News, that Hubert had left because of him. "I can say straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. She's mad now, but she's been mad all along," he said. She said once, "I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show. No matter what, to her I'm just the Antichrist." Hubert has made several comments about her time on Fresh Prince over the years, many of them negative. In 2016, she appeared on The Real, and she said, "Janet Hubert was never difficult on that set. Janet Hubert was so professional, it wasn't even funny. I think Will simply needed to win, and I think sometimes when you get caught up in a lie and those things never happened." In 2020, Smith and Hubert had a conversation for a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion. He admitted then that he wasn't sensitive to what she was going through as she ended her time on the show, and she explained, "They offered me this really bad deal in the third season. I had a new baby and a husband who was out of work, so I said no. I did not accept their offer. I was never fired. That misconception was always put out there." Smith told her, "I was 21 years old. Everything was a threat to me. Not you, the world. I was so driven by fear." 24. Kiefer Sutherland starred in 24, and Freddie Prinze Jr. appeared for 24 episodes of the hit show. In an interview on Good Morning America, he later said his experience was so bad that it made him consider quitting acting altogether. "I did 24, it was terrible. I hated every moment of it," Prinze said in 2014. Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. "That's not me talking trash, I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. I just wanted to quit the business after that. So, I just sort of stopped." Detailing one of the jobs he took while stepping back from acting, he said, "I went and worked for Vince McMahon at the WWE for Christ's sake, and it was a crazier job than working with Kiefer. But, at least McMahon, was cool and tall. I didn't have to take my shoes off to do scenes with him, which they made me do, with Sutherland. Just put the guy on an apple box or don't hire me next time. You know I'm 6 feet and he's 5 feet 4 inches. Prince's comments came 4 years after he appeared on 24, and it seemed that his remarks came as a surprise to his old co-star. Sutherland's rep issued a statement to SSN 24 News Digital then that read, "Kiefer worked with Freddie Prinze Jr. more than 5 years ago, and this is the first he has heard of Freddie's grievances. Kiefer enjoyed working with Freddie and wishes him the best." Grey's Anatomy. In 2007, a fight erupted on the set of Grey's Anatomy. The specific details have been contested, but the gist is that an argument between Isaiah Washington and Patrick Dempsey became physical, and at one point Washington used a homophobic slur. In the 2021 book, How to Save a Life, The Inside Story of Grey's Anatomy, excerpted by People, show writer Mark Wilding explained, "I think one of them had been late to set one day and the other one then decided to pay him back by being late himself. Then it sort of exploded. They got into an arguing match, and then before you know it they were physically fighting." In the 2021 book, How to Save a Life, The Inside Story of Grey's Anatomy, excerpted by People, show writer Mark Wilding explained, "I think one of them had been late to set one day and the other one then decided to pay him back by being late himself. Then it sort of exploded. They got into an arguing match, and then before you know it they were physically fighting." His stance, as he explained in another interview with Larry King, was that he did say that word, but he didn't direct it at Knight. In an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, Knight said, "He referred to me as AF. Everyone heard it." After one of Washington's statement at the Golden Globes, Katherine Heigl, another actress on Grey's Anatomy, plainly said, "I'm going to be really honest right now, he needs to just not speak in public. Period. I'm sorry, that did not need to be said, I'm not okay with it." Washington was fired from the show, and earlier this year he announced his retirement from acting, writing on X, "It is with a heavy heart and a sense of relief that I am announcing my early retirement from the entertainment industry today. It seems that the haters, provocateurs, and the useful idiots have won."